I'm good. How are you?
I'm very fine as well. Thank you so much. It's a
You're
great pleasure speaking with you.
likewise. Thank you for joining. I see you're on the road.
We are on the road to the next screening here in northern Germany at the moment.
All right.
Our tour is uh, in, in full capacity at the moment, and we are very excited.
Excellent. Well, thanks so much to take time out of your busy schedule. So Franz Böhm, director of the feature film Dear Future Children. I think it's your first feature-length film. Is that right?
That is correct.
Awesome. A very important movie, one of the more important movies I've seen recently, I have to say. So I am very delighted to be able to talk to you for a bit about it. Obviously, the first question that comes to mind, why such a young filmmaker chooses to tackle such an important and difficult, imagine, to film subject to begin with. I mean, maybe you can just explain why this is something you chose.
Absolutely. So first of all, thanks so much for your kind words. That really means a lot to me personally.
Absolutely.
We as a young team just realized during the beginning of 2019 that there are so many relevant stories surrounding the topic of young activism out there that are currently not being featured in modern cinema. That's absolutely something we wanted to change, something we wanted to tackle. We felt these stories have a great urgency. We felt that we need to tell them right now, not in a few years. We felt that the topics of these individual protest movements have great influence in Germany, in the UK as well, and also worldwide. So that's the reason why we very quickly were able to gather a very talented team around the topic of young modern activism and around the concept to give a clear voice to stories like these around the world.
That sounds fantastic. I mean, I have to say, seeing it, I felt like being right there, right? So it was this sense of immediacy that for me made it such more powerful to watch, and then the question for me arose, why would he go there? I mean, Hong Kong, yes. I mean, on everybody's mind what was happening in 2019, right? So I mean, the world was watching. So I think this movie comes at a very important time, at the right time, I would say. And as you said, not in 5 years from now, but this has to be seen now and by as many people as possible, I would say. But still, the question remains, why these three people? I wager you had a few candidates to choose from. It ended up being these three women by coincidence, or how did this happen?
Yeah. So first of all, in a first move, we researched 11 different protest movements all across the globe.
Okay.
Youth-led protest movements, which were all extremely fascinating. And in the first move, we decided for these three countries, for these three protest movements. Why? Because we were able to see a clear democratic majority behind the core goals of these individual movements, which we thought is a very interesting fact. We also wanted to feature three movements which are quite different from each other, not just depending on the location, but also regarding their core goals. And for each protest movement, we created a pool of potential candidates for our protagonist. These pools consisted of approximately 10 people per country. And we wanted to choose the one person who is most representative for these movements, the one person who is, from the backbone of the movement, who joined since day one, who is very keen about the protest. And that's the reason why we got to these three inspiring women. I just want to say that gender didn't really play a role in our decision making.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, doesn't really matter, does it? I mean, there's so many women protesting out there, so it's it concerns everybody, regardless of gender.
Exactly.
So, but still, I mean, it's these are three very powerful stories, and I think you chose well.
Thanks so much.
I don't know the other ones. It's a hard choice to make, I would say, right? So I can imagine, but still, Chile and Hong Kong must have been very intense. I mean, Uganda is also intense on a different level, right? But in terms of police presence and what is happening on the front line, I would say these two must have been rather intense to see, first of all, because I mean it has an effect on you as a person as well. You're not only a filmmaker, I mean you're there. Maybe you can say a few words how this experience was for you, and maybe lessons learned for the next project there. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, first of all, I think it's important to say that we collaborated very closely with people on the ground. We had support there. We had a good network in these individual countries. However, since you mentioned Hong Kong and Chile, honestly, I think one of the biggest challenges for us personally was just seeing people dying on the front line or seeing people getting brutally beaten up. And that's something that is still of great concern for us personally as a young film team, as a young filmmaker. Often these were people who we knew personally, who we met the night before, who we saw at the protests. And lessons learned, I think this is something you can't really prepare yourselves for. Yeah. However, what we also did is that we did enough preparation in terms of security sessions. We talked to people on the front line. We gained trust from the other frontline activists. And I think that was of great help and support when filming there. The people there knew us. They knew what we were doing. Honesty was always very important for us during the whole project. We communicated it very clear what we are doing, where we are from, what our goal is. So, yeah.
You mentioned honesty. I mean, obviously, when watching a documentary, people might ask the question, is this real? Is this, I mean, they should know it's real. I mean, it happened, right? I mean, it's not a made up story, but still, my son, for example, when he saw one of the scenes when Rain walking into the store, and he was asking, is this really her? Is this an actor? He said, no, it's the person, right? Yeah, but doesn't she get in trouble? And so he gets it, right? He's only 11, but he gets it, and it's very important to get this sense of honesty especially in this genre, to not dramatize or to tell a story. And maybe, I don't know, maybe you can speak a bit about how much you influenced or not influenced, or let those three protagonists tell their story, or how much. Because I didn't feel much was rehearsed, so it was really very raw, very immediate. So, but maybe you can speak a bit about that process.
Sure. That is a very interesting point. We didn't really rehearse anything at all, and we didn't really stage anything at all. Our job was mainly to just accompany and follow these three inspiring activists, surely also to ask important questions, to hear their thoughts on specific challenges, specific motivations. But yeah, as you mentioned, it was just them, and it was us following them around. We built a strong relationship based on trust and honesty. And we worked together with them and also with other local filmmakers on the ground to ensure that we are including everything, that we're including all the important details when explaining the protest, for example. Yeah. So during the first 30 minutes, we are laying out some details on how the protest movements emerged. And obviously it was important for us that everybody on the ground is kind of satisfied with how we are telling the stories of these specific countries.
Absolutely. Yeah, you mentioned other film teams, so the news and the clips and sometimes phone footage that was included in Santiago. I mean, that's as raw as it gets, basically. I mean, can't get more real than that. So it's sometimes tough for people maybe to watch. I don't know what your takeaway is from that, or what kind of reactions you got from your audiences so far. But it's important to evoke some kind of emotion. Cinema or movies or film in general, that's a prime means to evoke emotions and to tell a story. So well done in that respect. But maybe you can tell me a bit about what your screening plans are for this movie going forward before we go into the other sections.
Sure, absolutely. First of all, I just want to say that it was extremely important for us to cover all aspects of young activism. So that's the reason why we included the phone scene. That's the reason why we included the conversation between Rayen and Abel's parents who just lost their son. But not including that, not covering that, would mean, compromising the honesty. But we wanted to really focus on all aspects of young activism. That includes, the work on the front line. That includes talking with photographers who were badly injured during the protests. And that also includes Hilda giving, small speeches. And regarding the screening plans, we are looking forward to having our German official release on the 14th of October, Canadian release on the 15th of October. So it's a very tight and amazing schedule for us. And the responses so far have been really wonderful. We had many, late night discussions about the film. We showed the film to many exile Hong Kongers here in the UK, for example, which was obviously really exciting, but also staggering at the same time. We're just very much looking forward to building a good platform for the stories of these young protagonists.
So I'm very much looking forward to seeing more of those screenings. And as you mentioned, the theater release in Canada is on the 15th, I think they mentioned, and it's also on VOD on the 29th. So highly recommended for everybody who's listening right now to go and see this movie. I'd also like to mention that you won the Hot Docs Audience Award, as I saw. I think that is worth mentioning because that implies something special, namely a race for the Oscars. Am I right?
That is correct. That is correct, and we are extremely excited. And also, big shout out to Hot Docs. Obviously, it was a great surprise for us winning the Audience Award, but obviously helped us enormously in, as I mentioned, building this platform. It was amazing. It was a wonderful experience at the festival as well. Even though it was online, we still were able to connect with many fellow filmmakers. It was a really cool experience.
And well deserved. So
thank you.
I mean, I have to ask one last question, if I may. I read something about a 10-year plan. What does a 22-year-old do with a 10-year plan, and how far along are you in your 10-year plan, and what does that entail?
That's a very good question. So first of all, this 10-year plan is focused on telling relevant stories, bringing important stories to cinemas worldwide. And this 10-year plan also includes changing and adjusting the film industry itself.
Wow.
We want to create a better place for newcomers. We want to create a better place for people who maybe aren't from a very rich and posh background. We want to make the film industry a little bit more inclusive for everybody. And that's something that we as a core team want to focus on during the next 10 years. That's something that motivates us.
Well, I'm certainly looking forward to your next project. I guess there's something already in the plans?
Absolutely, yes. We are in development for our next project.
Awesome. Can't wait to see what's going on there. Well, thank you so much for taking the time. Again, all the best of luck with the future screenings and the Oscar race as well. Fingers crossed there. And keep up the good work. I'm really, really impressed. Thank you.
Alexander, thank you so much. It was a great pleasure speaking with you, and I hope you are enjoying the Friday.
I will. Thank you so much and have a safe trip. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Ciao.
Bye.